Hi, Passionators. First, I just have to thank you. Thank you for showing up for my birthday. Yay! I have such a great problem. I have so many birthday wishes that I haven't been able to respond to them all so far. So thank you for that. That you all show up every year, you outdo yourselves every year, and I continue to be touched by it every year, especially since I personally am acquainted with less than 10% of you. So to have all of you stop by and just share some birthday love with me, I just want you to know that if I haven't gotten to you yet, it isn't because I haven't seen it. It's just because I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm going to spend the next few, whatever it takes, scrolling through to at least acknowledge that you stopped by and to thank you for that. It really does mean a lot to me. This is my big 55, and I just got out of my hip hop class. I found out that my idol, James Brown, shares my birthday thanks to my big brother. He let me know that this morning. So I'm a little bit extra happy for that too. But that's not what this video is about. Well, at least not entirely. I did want to get that out of the way first. But once again, as I was out and about and listening to other people talk about their relationships, I heard this topic come up because for whatever reason, people have this idea that if they make it difficult for their mates to leave, that it's the same thing as making them want to stay. When actually, it's the exact opposite that's true. When we go through these relationship issues that make reality TV so popular, and we go through it the way they do on reality TV shows, or even commonly, where most people can see what these people are doing to each other, where they can hear the way they're speaking to each other, when they can see the way they're treating each other. We go through these motions of trying to stop them from cheating, trying to stop them from looking, trying to prevent them from becoming interested in other people. None of which is in our control, by the way. You can't build a wall high enough to keep anybody in who really wants to get out. So don't fool yourself into believing that you can. That whole idea of they're too busy, they don't have time, don't believe that one. Married people with full-time jobs and minor children find time to cheat if they really want to. So don't be fooled by that. You put all these traps in place, you check phones, you block emails, you intercept communications, you pretend to be your mate and respond to communications. All of that foolery that people do trying to stop their mate, trying to make it hard for their mates to leave, isn't the same as making them want to stay. That's how you create a prisoner, not a partner. And just because they keep walking in the door doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they want to be. It doesn't mean that that's where they would choose to be. Now, if you really got a partner on your hands, if you got a real relationship, if you got a teammate, if you got a dream mate, you can open all the doors, open all the windows, take away all the traps, make it easy for them to walk away. Make it easy for them to walk away. No retribution, no revenge, no any of that. Make it easy for them to walk away and then watch what they do. If they choose to stay anyway, that's how you know you got a real relationship. Not by how well you build your traps, but by how many traps you refuse to lay, and they choose to stay anyway. You don't have to chase anybody who wants to be with you. You don't have to lock down anything that wants to stay. It's like trying to hold on to a butterfly. You could hold on to it, but once you crush it in the palm of your hand, it dies. Keep your hand open and let it stay. Let its beauty show. Let it be free. It's in the freedom that people want to stay, not in the captivity. When was the last time you saw anything or anyone in captivity that wanted to be there? If they want to be there, captivity isn't even necessary. Locks are on prison bars because the prisoners don't want to be there. Because if they could be anywhere else on earth, they would be. And so many of us have bars on our relationships. And just because the bars cost a lot of money or because they're gilded in gold, guess what? A gold gilded cell is still a prison. And relationships are not supposed to be prisons. They're not places where you're held captive. They're not places where you stay against your will. They're not places where you endure. They're places where you enjoy. And you can only enjoy when you have the freedom to leave at any time, for any reason. I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that you can just walk away from responsibilities that you made and not have to be responsible for them anymore. Because you do have to be. Especially if you brought children into the situation. You have to be responsible for them. But for couples, for adults, for consenting adults, for adults who had the idea to get together in the first place, there's no ownership. Not even after marriage, there is no ownership. If husbands and wives are only staying together because of the paper or because the divorce would be too much of a hassle, they're not married, they're chained. No matter how long they've been married, no matter how many pretty pictures they smile in, no matter how long they've stayed for the children, no matter how determined they are to make it look good for anybody who might be watching you from outside, no matter any of that, they're staying because it's less trouble. They're staying maybe because they've gotten lazy. They're staying because they're complacent. They're staying because they resign themselves to go through these motions. But they're not staying because they would actually choose to stay. And how does that make you feel if you're the warden? If the only way you can keep them there is by force or manipulation. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel loved? Do you feel wanted? Do you feel cherished and treasured and desired above all others? Do you feel valued? Do you feel wanted? Only you can answer that question. But just call it what it is and not what it isn't. If you made a deal to endure, then do that. There are a lot of people who do. They have justifications for everything they do. There's a payoff for whatever you're doing, whether you complain about it or not. If you're choosing to do it, especially if you're doing it as a lifestyle, there's a payoff for you. And if the payoff is worth it, then fine. But don't act like it isn't. You don't get to complain about what you comply with. One or the other. If you're going to stay there, then stay there and stop yammering about how miserable you are, because you aren't. And if you're not going to stay, then stop talking about it and leave. Start over. Do something. Sorry about that. Do something new. But be honest. Be honest. Did I say be? Is this thing on? Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And it makes it so much easier to be honest with everybody else, because most of what you're afraid of isn't fatal. Other people have gotten through it. And other people will get through it again. So these big hairy monsters that you fear, they're not as big or hairy once you're actually in the situation. It's not as bad as you believe it's going to be, and it hasn't been as good as you keep making it out to have been. You're romanticizing your past and you're awfulizing your future in order to justify your complacency. Making it hard to leave isn't the same as making it easy to stay. And if you really have to choose, which would you rather have? Would you rather be with someone who is there because they know their life would be miserable if they left you? Not because they missed you, but because you would go out of your way to make every day of their lives miserable. Would you rather have someone stay with you because of that? Or would you rather them choose you above everyone else in the world that they could be with, and to choose you over and over again, to choose you day after day after day, because they know that there is a destiny to fulfill, that there is a life to lead, that there's a legacy to build, that they can only build with you? Which would you rather? You can't coerce, you can't manipulate, you can't bully, you can't tantrum, you can't scream, you can't holler, you can't destroy enough stuff, you can't throw enough fits to make somebody want to stay with you. It's something that they have to choose. And if they don't choose it freely, why do you want them there? Why? What could you possibly be getting out of it? Other than you have this misguided notion of control, this illusion of power that comes from manipulating someone's mind. Can I just say this to you? If someone makes themselves available to be manipulated, it's probably because their hearts are wide open to you. And that doesn't make you a better person because you can manipulate them. I saw a video recently called something to the effect of Good Men with Thoughts. How does that work? It's a contradiction in terms. Because for people who are considered to be thoughts, they're randomly offering their bodies in exchange for the hope of a relationship. And some of them are randomly offering their bodies because they just feel like doing that. Either way, they put themselves in a vulnerable position. So if you see that vulnerability and you exploit it to your advantage, you no longer get to claim the status of being a, quote, good person. Good men don't do that. Honorable men don't do that. Good women don't do that. Honorable women don't exploit men. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You don't get to be good and manipulative. And if you have to manipulate anybody to stay with you, that's not a weakness in them, it's a weakness in you. If you can't meet anybody on your level, if you can't meet anybody as an equal, if you can't meet anybody as your partner, someone that you can look eye to eye, someone that you can value as much as you value yourself, and create a partnership, that's a weakness in you. But it's not too late to get strong. You just have to recognize the weakness. And once you acknowledge it, then you can develop a strategy to work around it. I've seen it happen. I've had the good fortune of assisting it happen. I know it happens. But the first step is to acknowledge that it's there. As long as you're in denial about it, as long as you're blaming other people, as long as everybody else is crazy and everybody else is wrong and everybody else is weak and everybody else is trifling or whatever you want to call them, as long as everybody else is beneath you, as long as you're the only one with the answers, as long as you're the one who's got it right and everybody else has got it wrong, then trust and believe you are going to keep living this drama over and over and over again with people who have different names. But you'll find yourselves in the same situations over and over again because it's not the other person. You're not with the wrong person. You are the wrong person. And if anything is ever going to change in your relationship history, in your relationship mystery, which is your future, it'll be because you changed. Not necessarily because you changed partners. Changing partners may be part of the change, and it may not. But one thing is for sure, if you don't change, nothing else will. Nothing else will. So if you're not happy with the results you've gotten, understand that those are the results you got. They're not the results that were given to you. And that they can be changed at any moment. All you have to do is choose it. Just choose it. Choose it. Live your life and stop letting your life live you. Take back the only power that you actually have, the power over yourself. Take that. And then use it. Use it to its fullest. And what you'll find will surprise you in some of the best possible ways. I'm telling you, once you free yourself from other people's expectations of you, you will discover a you that you haven't seen maybe ever. And you will be so happy you did. And you'll never go back. I promise you that. You'll never go back to try to living up to everyone else's expectations. Can I just tell you? Freedom is a beautiful thing. I am just saying, do it. You will be amazed at what you find about yourself and what you find about the potential and the reality of lasting, loving intimacy. You will find it probably in the one place you never looked for it. It'll be inside yourself. And then when you decide to partner up with someone else to share it with you, it'll be magic. It'll be the magic that you claim you're looking for. And you won't have to lock any doors. You won't have to check any emails. You won't have to find out. None of that. None of that. None of that drama, none of that trauma, none of that foolery, none of it. They'll be there because with you is where they really want to be. And that's another level. That's a whole nother level. Thanks for spending this part of my birthday with me. I'm going to go cause some chaos and mayhem somewhere before I call it a night. But I did want to at least stop by since it's been a little while since I talked to you and because you guys showed up so awesomely. Wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Rest well, passionators. For tomorrow, we rise to love. One more time. I love you totally. Bye-bye.